himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So Newhoff in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. He doesn't qualify as well as he races.
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani, not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haig deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
Say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately or something. What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the round pedal, and unfortunately he's dropped him all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Varani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still start trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
On to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot to have fun. Yeah. It's all about the entertainment, so I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Hello, good evening, wherever you are around the world. We are at the Road Atlanta circuit in the USA for round 2 of the Radical SR8 Championship here at this course. I'm Tom Kent in the commentary position. Alongside me is Dean Biggles, who will be with me for the next hour and a bit to go through all the action we've got here this evening James Barry going into this round hot on the back of his feature race win at Alton Park 7 days ago. Drivers have just started qualifying. They finished practice a few moments ago, and they are on their flying laps now. But before we go on to that, we'll have a look at the championship standings. Following the first round, John Hutchison is leading the way on 66 points. I'm reading 4 points there over James Barry in second place with 62. It's Jorge Gonzaga in third on 58, followed by Jamie Bird a third point behind in fourth on 57. It's Luke Maxwell in fifth, who should have won the feature race had it not been for a fuel calamity where he basically underfueled during the mandatory stop that cost him the win. But he can bounce back for sure and learn from that. Ewan Brewer is in sixth on 50 points, followed by Menno de Graaf in seventh on 49, tied with David Rollerson, Paolo Tampera and Carl Jacquelet running up the top 10. We've got Mike Busson, Eric Harmon, Rob Williams, Graham Matthews, Stefan Millis, Julian Weiss, Colin Quinn and Leah Anderson, who did not compete last week at Alton Park. And we'll have a look to see whether they are competing this evening going into tonight. And Leah Anderson is in fact in. And so is Josh Reed, I believe, who I don't think was around last week by the looks of it. By the way, qualifying is underway. We are looking at Even Bremer by the looks of it, unless we're looking at the wrong driver there. But whilst we look at qualifying, let's bring in Dean and get his thoughts on tonight ahead. Good evening, Dean.
Good evening, welcome. Good evening as well to Phil across the pond. Good to see you again, my friend. He says good evening to Tom and myself. Good evening to you. James Barry's on a bit of a flyer at the moment. He has the fastest time currently at the moment out there on track. Let's have a look if he can hook that one up and get even more of an advantage to get that secure that nice pole position. Mr. Barry, of course, just a little bit shy in second place in the championship, so a nice race win here can secure a little bit more points up his sleeve, as you said, because Luke Maxwell making that little bit of a mistake. Might make that mistake again twice, of course, by underfueling the car. So it's more important, I guess, for the drivers like John and James Barry to try to get themselves right up the front there and not let Luke run away with this one like he did last week.
Well, yes, and Maxwell would have been on course for the victory. He did actually a quicker pit stop than James Barry did in the feature race last week. I think it was something like 4 seconds faster than what he did in the pit stops. Hence why he managed to underfuel the car. He needs to come back in again and had to settle for a 6th place finish on that occasion. The fastest time so far, we've seen James Barry on top ahead of Mike Busson, who's in 2nd place. It's Luke Maxwell and John Hutchison completing an all Brits. 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's Even Bremer, the highest of the foreigners, in 5th place, and it's Paul Crabb in 6th. Eric Harmon, Jorge Gonzaga, Menno de Graaf and David Rolliston rounding out the top 10. And I say that, Leah Anderson, who just mentioned did not compete last week, she's managed to find herself up into 5th position for the JCE Motorsport team. And some drivers who may not be part of teams, others are, particularly Mike Busson and Luke Maxwell, who are part of the Team Radline squad, which is good to see. And we've got the likes of James Barry and Jorge Gonzaga for the insert name E Racing team. Yes, I did say that right. And running down the format, in case you are new to this championship, qualifying, we've got around about 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session. The qualifying results determine the grid for race number 1, which is 10 minutes long, and it is set on a time, not on a set number of laps. But the race 1 results do hand out points. You get 40 points. So no, we're looking at the wrong point system. 30 points for a win, 25 for second, it's 24 for third, it's 23, 22, 21, 20. I think it's a point difference each position all the way down from there. And the driver who ends up fastest at the end of qualifying will get a championship point. And the same goes for any driver that set the fastest up of any of the races. Following race 1, the top 10 results of race 1 reverse for race number 2, which is a 45-minute race with more points up for grabs and a mandatory pit stop, of which the drivers have to do during the course of that. There is one fast repair which hopefully won't be needed, and there's like an incident warning or drive-through at 17 and 5 after that. James Parfitt did go through that last week, so I'm sure the drivers have been briefed in terms of how they are, what that exactly means. As far as the calendar is concerned, we've been to Alton Park. Tonight we're up Road Atlanta, and it's off to Road America for round 3 on the 23rd of September. And Monza is the first of the central sort of European rounds, and followed by Spa, and then it's off to Australia and Mount Panorama in Bathurst. There's Brands Hatch for round 7. Imola, Knockhill, and Nordschleife finish off the season. I think you've spotted something on the screen there, Dean. What did you spot there?
No, I just heard Mount Panorama, and I was like, oh, now I'm getting excited for sure. Because,
right, okay.
Yeah, it's the backyard, of course, of Australia. It's the mountain. You've got to conquer the mountain, or the mountain conquers you. So I'm going to love to see these radicals find their way around that one. Of course, the Bathurst 1000 is coming up for the e-racing event. I'm going to be hopefully looking at commentating that one for another race team. Looking for some sponsors, actually. My brother works for a company of Caterpillar, essentially. So they might be able to sponsor some of the teams that'll be doing that. But that's another event. And of course, Milo Gamer out there said big love to Beamer. Let's go Beamer. And Mr. Beamer he was talking about is Ivan Beamer for the SOB racing team. Currently in P7, you can see on the leaderboard in pit road. Whilst everybody else seems to be out, taking advantage of the remaining bits of qualifying left, which is give or take about 8 minutes, I think we're currently at. Is it in our qualifying format? Qualifying's 10 minutes, actually, so we've gone over it.
Well, no, it's actually 15. It's 15 minutes
yes.
for qualifying.
Sorry, my apologies.
So,
the telemetry doesn't show that properly on the race info. All right.
Okay. Well, we've got a couple of minutes to go in qualifying, and just to finish off what we're saying about the calendar, the season finale at the Nordschleife on November the 11th. Instead of being 2 races, it's been put together as like one whole event. So it'll be like a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop included due to the nature of the Nordschleife. I'm sure a lot of you will be very familiar what the Nordschleife is like to race on. It's a very, very long lap indeed. And if you did the 10-minute sprint, you probably only have time to get 1 or 2 laps at most in there, which is different, but maybe not exactly as fun. So it'll be a 60-minute whole event for the season finale. I mean, it's worth noting that there are 2 dropped scores for each driver at the end of the season, but none of those can be for the last 2 rounds of the championship. So if you've done like 8 quality rounds, let's say, and decide not to do those 2 rounds, well, the 2 worst scores will be taken off any of the lowest first 8, if that makes sense to everyone. And we're coming towards the end of qualifying then. James Berry's still fastest, a 10th clear over John Hutchison. We expect those 2 to be at the top of the timing tower. 3rd position at the moment is Paul Crubb, the Irishman, for the C64 squad, and it's Luke Maxwell and Mike Bousson up there in 4th and 5th places. It looks like they've gone past their best in terms of lap times, although Leah Anderson and Jamie Bird are on laps at the moment. Jamie Bird coming around the last corner. He's currently P12 right now. He could do with moving up the order a little bit if he can. And he's going round the last corner now, going over the line by the looks of it. Unless he's just stopped on the racetrack there. But it looks like he has improved actually. Goes up to P11 ahead of David Rolston, and Leah Anderson remains in 6th place. She's done a terrific job so far, but the races are what matter the most. Checker flag is out now, so the drivers have completed their final times, and we'll get the grid for the first race of the evening, round 2 of the Radical SR8 Championship here at Road Atlanta. James Berry on pole position with John Hutchison alongside it's Paul Crubb and Luke Maxwell on the 2nd row, Mike Bousson and Leah Anderson on row 3, followed by Ivan Bremer and Jorge Gonzaga on the 4th row, with Eric Harmon and Menno de Graaf running out the top 10. Jamie Bird in 11th, followed by David Rollison in 12th place. Both drivers running out row number 6. In 13th position is Wayne Palmer ahead of Josh Reed. It's Carl Jacquelet and Paul Tempera on row 8. Stephen Millis and Graham Matthews are on the 9th row of the grid, and Rob Williams is the driver in 19th and last place on the 10th and final row of the grid. So we're just waiting for drivers to come onto the grid very quickly. Dean, what are you looking out for in race number 1?
Well, I mean, you said it's going to be very exciting. I'm going to see whether or not some of the drivers are going to be able to bring it to James Barry, I'd say. And John McHutchison maybe as well too. Paul Crabb, the C64 machine, he's a bit of a surprise coming in there and some good pace during qualifying. So perhaps look out for his racecraft as well too, because I know Paul Crabb likes to get his gloves dirty when it's racing as well. And the C64, I wonder if that's the C64 machine. I just wonder if that's referring to the old Commodore 64, way before your days, my friend. Home computer, PC computer. I used to play all the games back in the day. James Parafoot might know that one as well too, or anybody else. What about you, Phil, across the pond? You probably know what a Commodore 64 is. I wonder if that's a reference to that one. Anyway, we're going, my friend.
Yes, so we're underway, and we've already got a spinner at the back there, and there's absolute mayhem behind. Drivers struggling to get off the line very, very well, but we've got James Barry, who's taken an early lead, with Paul Crabb next behind, and it's Luke Maxwell in third place, ahead of Leah Anderson, and John Mahutson and Even Brummer fighting over fifth and sixth places. And it was a very, very chaotic beginning, so they look to go through the S's for the first time. But James Berry, as expected, get onto a sweet start there. And we've got some action further back. It looks like Hudson and Bremer are going side by side again. It's very, very tricky to do it through this particular part of the course. We've got a car going wide there at the back. We've got a retirement already, which is Mena de Graaf. He's clearly picked up damage. I think David Rollison and Paolo Tempera have also been in trouble. But it's a very solid start for the drivers, most particularly for James Berry and particularly Paul Crabb.
Yeah, that practice just standing starts as well as your pit stops there, gentlemen. That's where you're going to win and make or break our races. We just clearly saw some of the drivers not quite getting it off the racing start there, and an incident occurring. There's your top four on the screen, and further on the inside looks like a attack mountain there from Jose Gonzana. Trying to get it up in the inside there of Mike Buson for the team. A rad line, they're going for it too for now. That's battle for P7 from 8th position currently.
Yeah, so they come around to complete lap one. James Berry in the lead, but now we've got a battle involving Mike Buson, who is under attack there in the 666 as he goes through turn number one. Behind Mike Buson is the American Eric Harmon, who's given chase. We're all making the way through the S's for the second time. You can see how high the curves are, very easy to get caught out by them. And it looks like Mike Buson, who's very familiar with these machines, trying to find the limit, going a little bit too far out wide there. And it looks like Eric Harmon has taken advantage of the open door, and he says, "Thank you very much, I'll take 8th place off you," as they go through the middle part of the racetrack. It's turns 6 and 7 before they go on the long back straight before they get to the chicanes of turns 10 and turn 10A and turn 10B.
Mike Buson making a little bit of an error around here in this tight track. It's easy to lose a couple of places, which currently at the moment he did. He's still going to fall his way back into P9. Under attack right now, James Barry and Paul Crabb. As I said, watch out for this Irishman. He seemed to be very, very quick at the late stages of this race here in qualifying, and at the moment during the race, he's up one position and he's putting pressure on James Barry.
Well, he's putting James Barry under enormous pressure at this early stage of the race, and then he fastens up for him, albeit briefly, because John Hudson has taken that away. If John Hudson keeps hold of that, there'll be a championship point coming in the way of the Scotsman. Barry trying to keep his car in line, and Paul Crabb reading into the lines that he's taking and maybe trying to take a slightly different line to put him under pressure and trying to gain a good exit out of the corners. But now, as they come towards turns 5 and 6 once more, the braking zone of turn 5, you can see behind Paul Crabb we've got Luke Maxwell in third place. Fourth is the Scotswoman of Leah Anderson, and the Scotsman John Mahutson in fifth place. If I can get my words out, Even Bremer. Jorge Gonzaga is in P7. Eric Harmon ahead of Mike Buson. Jamie Bird rounding out the top 10. A few overtakes for position further back, and it looks like de Graaf was able to get going again. He's well down the field, actually. I think he came straight to the base, did one fast repair, but we're seeing a move from Paul Crabb on the inside of James Barry, and that looks like move done there for the Irishman, and he's done it. Very, very good. He very nearly did that on the lap before, but James Barry just about kept the door shut. Not this time, though. Crabb takes the lead of the first race of this evening, and Luke Maxwell fancies his chances.
Yeah, opened up the door exactly for Luke. Luke's going to now try to stick his nose in and see if he can do something about James Barry. Could be potentially losing the race lead in 2 positions just like that. But then you got to be tight and windy coming through the S's here. And, well, there it is at the moment. Luke's going to back off a little bit and mount an attack coming up soon. But James Barry's going to be thinking about retaking that position very soon. Lap 4 we are down at the moment.
Yeah, well, we're on lap 4 at the moment. It's a 10-minute race, so that you know. So at most, it's going to be 9 laps, but it'll most probably be 8. So keep an eye on the timing tower. And Maxwell's just made a little mistake on the entry into turn 6, and let's just allow Leah Anderson to close in a little. The same for Evan Bromer's got in front of John Hutchison and further back. So he's through. There is the Dutchman. And we're not seeing too many battles, although James Berry is thinking about going for it into the chicane here of turn number 10. He's going for it on the inside. Paul Crubb doesn't fight it. He leaves him enough room, but James Berry not able to get through this time around.
Yeah, there was almost a deja vu, isn't it, of the event where he was overtaken before by Paul. This time around, Paul's put the car in more of a defensive position. He's basically done what you call an Oscar maneuver of defending, but at the moment he can't do it right now. James Berry's going to go side by side. Compromised huge time. Some of the exit speed, that's allowed Luke to sneak on through. That's the big problem right now when you're fighting like this. If you're going to risk it for the biscuit, try to get an overtake done, and you don't nail it perfectly, all of a sudden you lose a place.
Yeah, well, he's made a mistake through turn 1 there as James Berry, who's left the door open for Luke Maxwell to capitalise, and now he can set his sights on the race leader of Paul Crabb as they come towards turn number 5 again. Down the gradients they come, and you can just see all the cars in the picture, all those in the top 10, within a chance of essentially taking the first victory of this evening. Of course, they don't have long left in the race now. They've only got like 4 minutes. We're on lap number 5. I would probably say we've got 3 laps to go after this lap, but they're all thinking about race 2 as well, so they don't want to risk too much. As you fall outside the top 10, that is where you'll line up for race number 2. And Luke Maxwell fancying a go on Paul Crabb, doesn't quite go for it into turn number 10, and he's able to just slot in for now, but will he go for it into turn 1? And needs a strong exit through the last corner, this right-hand sweeper that takes you to the line. And further back, we've got Evan Bremer in 5th place behind the 198 of Leah Anderson going through turn number 1 once more. And Maxwell in 2nd place, very, very close, all over the back of Paul Crabb, but needs to be wary of the likes of James Berry, Leah Anderson, Evan Bremer, John Hutchison in 6th position. He usually goes well round here, does John, and of course any racetrack in these Radical SR8s. But now they are going over the curves and towards turn 5 once more, Dean, with 3 minutes still to go.
I think Evan's going to be Ivan. Yep, there it is. Bremer's going to make a move. It actually will textbook move up on the inside, get the job done. So the Dutchman moves his way up 3 positions currently in P4. And looking to get that further up the road. Probably not enough time to do anything too much about the top of the timesheets, gentlemen. At the moment, still held on by Paul Crabb. He's doing a pretty comfortable job there leading this race. He's going to be under massive attack soon, because you'd imagine some of these drivers with a few amount of laps available left in our first heat, and they're going to send one up the inside, Will. But once again, Paul covers off that racing line, just a little bit off that racing line, covers it off again. So live to see another day mounting that attack there. More than anything, Luke is going to be under pressure there from James Berry. And, of course, the rest of the field are starting to bunch up. You can see the top 6.
Yeah, 2 laps to go. Crabb leads. Maxwell posting a personal best up of the race, not the fastest, but he's right on the tail of Crabb as they enter turn number 1. James Berry and Evan Bremer, who pull off that brilliant overtake on Leah Anderson into turn 5, is up there in 4th position now, having a good race so far. Hutchison looks consigned to 6th position unless he can find a way through. And it just comes down to one mistake, and it could well jeopardise your grid position for the main race in a few minutes' time.
Concentration is the key at this point. You don't want to make a mistake. You're lining up your opponent, your car up the road to attack, and then do it at the right place at the right time. You're also going to be on your edge there. You've got to be very sharp too, because if they make a mistake and they run off the road, which you've seen a couple of times, you've got to be ready to pounce on that. If you're putting your nose in a position where you want to make an overtake and they make a mistake, bang, there's a good chance of a collision coming through here at the moment. But don't worry about that with James Berry. He's looking at a classic textbook overtake into this corner here. Will there be enough space allowed? Nope, that will be side by side. Gonna have to tuck in behind you. It gets very, very difficult. You've got to get a good exit. James Berry tried it and didn't quite get it this time around. But look at the squabble behind.
Well, Crabb has left the field for dead, and James Berry got a very poor exit coming out of the penultimate turn of the circuit, and now he's in a fight for 2nd place now. It would have been for the race lead, but Crabb looks as though he's got the first race win of the night in his pocket, and the battle for 2nd place is very much raging there. We're on the last lap of the race, and Maxwell goes straight on, and he's going to lose positions there, and that just goes back to what I was saying earlier. You make a mistake, and you really jeopardise your position, and I think he may have a slow down penalty there, and he's having to let cars go through. but now we've got a fight for second place involving Jamesbury and Even Bremer. Even Bremer could possibly do what he did on Leah Anderson into turn number 5. Doesn't do it there, but he's got one more realistic chance to get this overtake done. You can see John Hudson going through on Leah Anderson further back, and Hudson goes through on Anderson into 4th place. Does John Hudson? He'll be pleased to get up that high, but we are close to the end of heat number 1, and Jamesbury is under attack from Even Bremer. Does Bremer decide to go for it? We are starting to see through the trees. Now we can look on another camera angle, and it looks like Bremer is not able to go for it. Anderson also trying to do the same on Hudson, but she is very much running out of chances now. But there is your race leader, the Irishman, Paul Crabb, in the number 64, coming round to take the first win of the evening. Very, very well captivated, very well drilled there by Paul Crabb. He deserved that, there's no question. And Jamesbury having to settle for second place. And yeah, I wonder what he'll be thinking after, but it's still good points on the board for him. Even Bremer, a podium finisher in race number 1, ahead of John Hudson, who pulled off that overtake on Leader Anderson at the end. And we've got Jorge Gonzaga, Eric Harmon, Jamie Bird, Mike Buson, and Luke Maxwell, despite dropping down from 2nd down to 10th. He'll be on reverse grid pole.
Certainly coming at an advantage later on in this one, but Paul Crabb did what exactly he needed to do. Get those overtakes done as safe as possible, and of course defending as much as he could. And towards that little bit of moment towards the end, he had a little bit of time, had a little bit of a gap, and clearly come across there and take the Heat 1 victory. Jamesbury managed to find his way back up into that P2 position, as you mentioned. And you have to give it to Bremer, of course, with the shout out that Milo said out there in the chat. Well, that was brilliant for him because he gained 4 positions. So let's have a look at those race results really quickly before we get into our next race once again as the classifications come up.
Paul Crabb, your race winner of the first heat of this evening, the 10-minute sprint ahead of Jamesbury. Even Bremer running out the podium ahead of John Hudson. Leah Anderson in 5th place, a strong effort by her. Jorge Gonzaga in 6th, Eric Harmon 7th. Jamie Bird in 8th place, had a Mike Buson and Luke Maxwell in 10th place, and on reverse grid pole for the feature race later on. Wayne Palmer was 11th, followed by Josh Reed and Rob Williams. Graham Matthews, David Rolliston, Carl Chocolate, Stefan Mellis, Menno de Graaf, and the driver in last place. That would be, we just look further down, dangerous to see who that is in 19th position on the classification. That is Paolo Tempera, who did make it to the end, so at least he still gets some championship points, but that might go towards being one of his dropped scores for the season. So Luke Maxwell on reverse grid pole ahead of Mike Buson alongside. Given where those that finished at the top end of that heat, Dean, goodness knows how race 2 could play out.
Yeah, as you said, remember, look at the top 10 reverse grid, so that'll be a situation going into our main reverse feature race, of course. Is it a full reverse grid, our feature race? For the 45 minutes?
So it's
top 10.
Yeah, it's top 10. Yeah, so it's a full reverse of the top 10 grid for race 2. We're in the warm session, in case you are wondering why there are cars out on the race. So we've got around another 3 minutes to go, just so that they get a little bit more practice in to get ready for the main race, where the bigger chunk of points get given out. And running down on the point system for the main race, 40 points for a race winner, then it's 35 second, 34, 33, 32, and so on. So it's a point difference from second place downwards. There is also a championship point up for grabs for the driver that set the fastest lap of the race. And yeah, I think given what we've seen so far, we're going to be in for a cracker. Although with Luke Maxwell, given the pace we've seen from him throughout tonight and over last week, it's going to be hard to look past him, and he needs to capitalise on that reverse grid pole.
That's going to be the opportunity, isn't it? Get up the road there and make it very, very difficult. But of course, this time around, see if you've got enough gasoline in your tank when you go to pit stops, which will be crucial. Your launches and your pit stops are always your 2 crucial things that I don't think drivers practice enough. So let's see if that's going to pay off. We're riding on board currently in a moment just during a practice session of Jamie Bird. Do you want to give us a little bit of a hot lap? He's about to start one right now around here.
Yes, absolutely. So going through turn number 1, I can't see the speedometer from my end, so we just have to assume that he is just going through. Yeah, if you can do that, that'd be great. But he's coming towards turns 2, 3, and 4, and then sooner rather than later he'll be going through turn number 5, or the S's as they call it, around there. So we're in 5th gear, approaching the exit of turn number 5, heading towards turn number 6. Is what I should have been naming that earlier. What gear does he go through? I'd imagine he'll probably go through either 2nd or 3rd gear. It's 3rd, 155 kilometers per hour at the apex, and it's a slower corner of turn 7, just around about 110 kilometers an hour. Then you apply the throttle, and then you go all the way down the so-called back straight. There is like a couple of kinks involved before you go to the chicane of turn 10A and turn 10B. So he's in 6th gear at the moment, 243, 244, 245. He was at 248 before he applied the brakes there. So he goes underneath the bridge of turn 11 and turn 12, which is the last corner of the racetrack, pretty much flat out through there, no problem. And that is a lap of the Road Atlanta circuit. And in case you're wondering what configuration it is, it's the Grand Prix circuit that they are using, not the motorcycle Grand Prix circuit that you could be thinking of. But nevertheless, a strong lap there for the number 39 of Jamie Bird.
When's the last time they had a Formula 1 Grand Prix here?
They never did. They've never raced at Road Atlanta Formula 1, but of course they've raced at many different locations in the US over the decades. And of course, as you well know, the 3 American rounds they go to in the present world of Miami, Austin, and Las Vegas. And given where we are with the time, I think the warm-up session is just about done, and then we'll get the grid ready, or get the grid up to show you who is on reverse grid pole. And yeah, just waiting for the drivers to make their way back to the pits. You can see the cars have just disappeared there, so we should see a grid coming up in due course. So we'll run down on who is lining up where, and we'll get going for race number 2 here. Luke Maxwell on reverse grid pole with Mike Boost alongside Jamie Bird and Eric Hartman on row 2, followed by Jorge Gonzaga and Leah Anderson. John Hudson and Evan Bremer on row 4, followed by James Barry and Paul Crubb, the race winner of the first race of tonight. Wayne Palmer and Josh Reed rounding out row 6, followed by Rob Williams and Graham Matthews, and it's David Rolston and Carl Jacquelet on the 8th row. Stefan Millis and Meno de Graaf on row 9 at the back. In 19th and last place is Paolo Tempera. The drivers, I think, are on the grid now, Dean, so we should be going to lights out if we can. So we'll hopefully get this race underway. The 5 lights are on, and we are go for race number 2 this evening here. And Luke Maxwell getting onto a flyer and pulling away already from Mike Bousson and Jamie Bird are in a tussle amongst themselves. Eric Harmon also in there, and now they're going through turn number 1. And Luke Maxwell pulling away from the pack. Jamie Bird in 2nd place. In 3rd position is Jorge Gonzaga, having a brilliant start as well. He's made up a few positions from where he is at. And Evan Bremer from 8th on the grid has made his way up into 4th position. A strong start by him. And followed behind Bremer, Mike Boots on shot by John Hudson, making his way up to P6. James Berry 7th. Eric Harmon, Paul Crubb and Leah Anderson, who's had a very, very poor beginning, is down in 10th position, and with it all to do from here on in. 45 minutes of this race, a lot of time for things to change and a lot to go wrong. And of course, don't forget, there is a mandatory pit stop for each of the drivers to do throughout this second race.
And a lot cleaner start getaway this time. No incidents have been reported on race control, so that's a good sign. Drivers are aware this is going to be a lot longer race and it will be a sprint, so a lot more to lose. So they've taken a little bit more easy. At the moment, nice battle brewing around here, of course, where we do have John, Mike Bousson and James Barry. So once again, it's a familiar names, familiar territory, familiar league.
Yeah, well, James Barry and John Hudson, as expected, are in a fight amongst themselves. They're fighting for 5th place in the race, although Barry is under attack from Mike Bousson as they begin the second lap. Mike Bousson round the outside of James Barry heading into turn number 1, and he's not able to make his way through. James Barry was always going to have the high ground on the exit, and so maintains his 6th position. Eric Harmon in the fight as well. Paul Crubb a little bit further back, just ahead of the blue liveried 198 of Leah Anderson. And then we've got further behind Wayne Palmer. Carl Jacquelet has made up positions, as has Meno de Graaf. Meno de Graaf determined to make up for a disappointing race number 1. And so they're just second. A bit of a battle going on further behind there. That is Meno de Graaf fight in there with what looks like the 13th place driver, Carl Jacquelet. So Mendekoff absolutely flying, having a cracker of the beginning of race number 2. There's a long way to go, of course, and we're on lap number 2, and Luke Maxwell pulling away. Well, I say pulling away, he's only 4 tenths clear. So Jamie Bird on the tail of the driver who is determined to make up for lost time here and make up for a very, very disappointing first race and a disappointing round of last week. He needs to get some strong points here.
Well, we know he's quick, and we know he's quite capable of leading races, so that's not going to be a problem. Jamie Bird, we saw him during the practice session as we were riding on board with him, had the actual fastest time during that little short intermission practice, so we'll keep an eye out for him because he's clearly got the pace to keep up with Luke here. And then you've got further back George Gonzana under a little bit of pressure from Ivan Bremer, and John a little bit further back from that one too. It was we just saw before De Graaf back in P12 making 6 position gains as well too, so slicing and dicing through the field. A big crash! That's Luke, our race leader.
Yeah, Luke Maxwell in the wall, and he's out of the race. As Luke Maxwell, another mistake by the man who's one of the favourites to win the championship this season, has caught the curb heavily and has thrown it into the wall on the exit of turn 5. And on lap number 3, that's effectively his race over.
Yeah, there it is at full speed. It only takes a little bit like that, doesn't it? Only takes a little bit. Let's go back and have a look at the replay where it kind of started, not where it ended. And let's go on board. If I went a little bit too far back, no one, but let's have a look. So we're riding on board full speed, and you'll get an idea of just what it takes. One tiny little moment. Miscalculation. Right there.
I think he just carried a little bit too much speed, didn't he? And he just it took him out wide, caught the bump, and that just threw the car offline. I think if you're going to ride over those bumps, the best thing to do is just lift off the throttle and allow the car to roll. But Luke Maxwell's mistake has put him out, and a golden opportunity missed for the Brit there. And that hands lead over to Jamie Bird ahead of Jorge Gonzaga. Even Bremer up to 3rd place, and it's got then we've got John Hudson and James Barry in 4th and 5th. Mike Boots on Eric Harmon, Paul Bradley Anderson. We can see ahead of John Hudson is even Bremer, who went far out wide, nearly doing what Luke Maxwell did on the previous lap. And that opens the door for John Hudson to go through. A poor mistake there by Bremer, but it's nothing in comparison to Luke Maxwell's error on the previous lap.
Yeah, I just had deja vu nightmares of that one. As exactly the same thing that almost occurred, wasn't it? But very, very lucky for the Dutch driver to save that. Otherwise, once again, he would have been sitting down in the pit road exactly the same with Luke Maxwell. Challenge for the lead.
Yeah, Jorge Gonzaga going for it on Jamie Bird into turn 10A. And he is through, nearly making contact. Jamie Bird trying to get through on the apex, though. Had to be very robust there to maintain the position. And that's bunching up the field behind with John Hudson in 3rd place and Ethan Bremer. But you can see that Gonzaga has gone through ahead of Jamie Bird as they head towards turn number 1. But watch out, Hudson, who may be able to take 2 in one go here on the exit of the first corner, but not able to do so. This could get very, very tricky here as they go through the S's here, and you can just see that Jamie Bird had to leave the door open to make it through, and even Bremer takes advantage. So in a space of a few corners, Jamie Bird has gone from the race lead down to 4th position, and he's very much within striking range behind of the likes of James Barry and co.
We've seen this before. There's Jamie Bird actually jumping in another place right now. We've seen before making a little bit of mistake, especially going through those S's and you're off the line. You're just going to have to drop places like a 929 stock exchange. That's it. And then you got to sit back. At least, luckily in this case, you've got still a lot of time to go on the race. So it's not all over just yet. But still, there is a challenge at the lead. The lead seems to be a dangerous zone to be in right now, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's almost like a game of chess involving the lead as well. John Hudson's wasting no time getting through on Jorge Gonzaga, and Hudson goes through into the race lead. Jorge Gonzaga not fighting it too much and allows the Scotsman to go through. He might be able to get a good exit out of turn 10B, but to no avail. Hudson's move is done. And Jamie Bird has dropped down to 9th place now behind Leah Anderson, sorry. And in a space of just over the lap, Jamie Bird has gone from the race lead down to 9th position.
Yeah, I think he's well worth that. He doesn't need to be reminded, of course, but he's got to get his head down there. Paul Crabb now, remember our first heat race winner. Slicing and dicing his way through at the moment. He is now 3 positions gained and currently sitting at P7. Keep an eye out for him later on the race. I am picking him back to back to win the feature race and the sprint race as well too. So we'll see. We know he's done the sprint. He's already got one ticked off his box. He just needs another one. This is where the hot zone is currently at the moment on track 2 from 12 down. As you can currently see these drivers, and we'll put that track map up to give you an indication of how far away they are currently from our race leaders. Not too far, still in the same sector, heading down the backstretch now.
Well, we've got battles all down the field. We're going to be looking at Rob Williams, who's behind Carl Jacquelet for position. That's the battle for 12th place. Also in that fight are Wayne Palmer and David Rolliston. But now we're going back to the leaders here as John Hutchinson is going into a little bit of management mode now, because I think Jorge Gonzaga is just waiting for the best opportunity. He knows there's no point risking it too soon. It's a long race and there's a pit stop still to come. And so they head over the line to begin their 7th lap, approaching the 8-minute mark. Mike Bousson with the fastest up of the race so far. He was having a good time of it in this one as we speak. James Berry in 4th place, not the race winner of race number, that was Paul Crabb. Paul Crabb is running in P7 behind Eric Harmon, who's a bit further adrift of the top 5. So I wonder if Paul Crabb will want to get a move on here and get through on Eric Harmon in the near future. Right on board with Mike Bousson, who is putting in some good laps so far in this second race of tonight, on the tail of James Berry, and who knows, he fancies a podium at the minimum.
The 666 machine's down 3 places currently in the moment, so he hasn't had the best of race starts so for first couple of laps, but he does have the fastest lap. He has got the pace. He can see the top 4 cars in front of him down that straightaway. You can see that's always good as a race driver to know where the race leader is, so you've got an opportunity to sneak past all of them if there is a mistake. And it's quite easy to make a mistake, as we've seen before, overtaking opportunities up into the kink here, but nobody is bold and brave at this point at the moment, especially George or Jose running in P2. I like to let John just kind of cruise up the road there, as I said. And what are you thinking about what lap for pit stops as Bremer just replaces the fastest lap?
I think the set amount of fuel you can have in these cars, I think it's something like half an hour of the race, and that's just to ensure we do get the pit stops. Although some drivers may go into fuel management mode, which is possible to do in these cars. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if those who are sitting in behind the leader, i.e. Jorge Gonzaga, Ethan Bremer, James Barry and co, will just sit back and not push too much, so that he can maybe save like a lap or two to try and complete an overcut on someone like John Hutchinson, for instance. This is going to be a strategy game now, and we, at the moment, as much as you may not see it right now, well, if the drivers are sitting in behind, making the most of the slipstream of Matt Hutchinson and co, well, it's probably best to do it that way.
Yeah, best place to save fuel, of course, is to be the slipstream of another car. That way you can just lift a little bit as you've got the acceleration. As you can see at the moment, rev on the rev limiter was Ivan, and he's just going to sit back. But you can't be sitting back too much, of course, because you've got to remember you're also mirror driving, because you've got the likes of James Barry and Mike Bousson just behind you, ready to pounce if you make a slight mistake. Difficult place to be. I've said this many times on the stream. To the audience as well, too, including yourself there, Tom. Do you like to be the one that's in the middle? Do you like to be at the front? Or do you like to be the chaser, the chased, all that sort of stuff?
Well, I wouldn't mind being the leader, in all honesty, because if you feel there's no point pulling away, because not only are you wearing out the tyres as well, you're basically consuming fuel, unless you are determined to just simply go flat out on a heavier fuel load and leaving those to battle amongst themselves. And before they come in, you're on the power whilst they are getting up to speed on their replenished fuel. Just to run down on the field, actually, Wayne Palmer has had a very disappointing moment, because he's dropped well back from where he was a minute or so ago. We'll get a replay maybe on what happened to him. Jamie Bird has been overtaken by Menno de Graaf in 9th place. We have seen a replay of Wayne Palmer having his moment, and he just basically overshot the chicane there and just slowed down so that he didn't rejoin unsafely. So that's good driving standards there from Wayne Palmer, but he's further down the field. Jorge Gonzaga under attack now from Ethan Bremer. I think Bremer has realised he's losing time behind him, and now James Berry and Mike Bousson fancy their chances as they come towards the end of lap number 9. They begin lap number 10, and Matt Hutchinson's still in the lead, and further back we've got Paul Crabb on the tail of Eric Harmon. James Berry nearly losing the position there to Mike Bousson, having to just get his car lined up for the S's, and it's important you get the S's correct, because one mistake can ruin the whole lap. And it looks like we've got retirement involving Josh Reed, who's been in the wars, and Wayne Palmer is in the pits, and that could well be his race done too.
Yeah, it looks like Wayne Palmer has had a little bit of an incident. He didn't buy flowers for the wall or something like that, or take it out for a nice dinner, and he's had to sleep on in the pit road after that one. Let's have a look at Wayne Palmer. That was the lockup that we saw before, actually, when he went off track, but I think he's... I didn't get any damage from that. I'm not seeing any other racing control messages from that, but he is in pit road, so maybe he's got some sort of... He could have some sort of technical issue or something like that, too, with your racing rig, or whatever you have for your racing equipment. Sometimes that causes problems. Maybe he doesn't like to set up something like that. Either way, he's elected to get a pit road. I think he's come back out now. So we'll see.
Well, he's come back out now, but he's almost a lap down, is Wayne Palmer. I don't know if that's like a fast repair or whether he was just doing his mandatory pit stop right now. But we've got a battle further back. We've got Carl Jacquelet going into combat with Rob Williams for 13th position. Leon Hansen and Jamie Bird are tussling as well. Leon Hansen sort of the cork in the bottle at the moment, as she's got Jamie Bird and Paul Crabb behind that. And is that... No, that's not Paul Crabb. That's Menno de Graaf has just been overtaken by Jamie Bird. Jamie Bird getting back through on Menno de Graaf into 9th place. Leon Hansen in 8th place. Eric Harman's been overtaken by Paul Crabb now, so Paul Crabb can get on with it and go after the leaders. And who knows, he could be in contention to make it a clean sweep for this evening at Road Atlanta.
I see he's up 4 places, so apart from John, who's up 6 in this race, and Bremer, who's up 5, as well as Mr. Barry, is up 5. They're taking advantages, of course, of those moments that we saw Luke for the team Radline completely bin it, unfortunately, into the fence. I believe he's still out on track at the moment. Yes, no, he's not, actually. He has completely retired from the session, so it is unfortunate. Probably felt there's too much damage there. Didn't want to take all that time in pit road to get the repair done. We're using the fast repair, but either way, sometimes you can get mad as a driver and you say, that's enough. Pack it up and focus on the next race.
Well, we'll see what he will be going through his mind. He's going to Road America next week. Ivan Bremer in 3rd place behind Jorge Gonçalves. They begin lap number 12, approaching the 3rd way mark of the feature race at Road Atlanta. John Hudson leads in the way so far. Jorge Gonçalves in 2nd place. The others just join us. Luke Maxwell was the runaway leader until a mistake on the exit of turn 5 put him into the wall. And we've got an incident involving Carl Jacquelet, who's lost the front bumper of his machine as he comes together with someone at the chicane.
Oh yes, 3 into 1.
Freeway buckle. Yeah, he's probably cut across on them, hasn't he? Yep, he has, and he's taken. Who's he taken with him there as they come out of
Stefan, maybe.
Is that Stefan Mellis he's come together with? I'll have a look. Yeah, it's Stefan Mellis who's collided, and the other driver he collided with there, I think.
Carl? No, it was Carl. I don't know, actually. I'm not quite sure. Carl's at the pit road.
But either way.
Huge damage.
Yeah, so, yeah, he's got damage there, so that'll be him into the pits to get the damage repaired. Further back, we're looking at Eric Harman, who lost the position to Paul Crabb not too long ago. He's determined to get it back, but I think for now, he's happy to sit behind him. Just let the Irishman just carry him with him, if that makes sense. Carry him with Crabb and just take him towards the leaders so that they have a chance later on. Personal best lucks for John Hudson and Jorge Gonçalves. We've seen Leah Anderson has just been overtaken by Jamie Bird. Is now under attack from Menno de Graaf into turn number 1. De Graaf through on the inside, and that's a position gain there for the man in the number 59. Leah Anderson beginning to struggle at the moment after a promising first race, but she has struggled so far in the feature race here this evening. I don't know if she's maybe running a heavier fuel load compared to the others. Perhaps she wants to try and go for a shorter stint at the end, but we'll wait and see. What are you thinking so far, Dean, in this second race? Although we've got, I don't know, even Bremer's off. Bremer's off the track. He's I don't know if he's had damage. It doesn't look like he has. It looks like he's running too deep, or he's come together with someone.
Well, I'm sorry if you have to look away there, Milo, out there in the chat, because you said Super Bremer. Super Bremer's pushed it a little bit too much. Yep, that's the rear end completely snapped, hasn't it? There was no contact because the front fender looks perfectly fine.
Yeah, he just locked the rears there, did Bremer, and he had to really slam on the brakes to avoid running into Jorge Gonçalves, and that's him off onto the grass and falling down the order. That's a huge shame because he had a good race up until that point, and he's going to have to, fight really, really hard to get that back. That's allowed Gonçalves, James Barry through into 3rd place. We watched Graham Matthews go through on the inside of Rob Williams into the chicane. I can't imagine that Williams... Jane Matthews nearly dropping him into the barrier almost, and had to collect it all up, and luckily was able to continue. That so nearly could have been curtains there for the Brit, but luckily able to live to fight another day.
I'm surprised that he had to take those evasive actions, because you could see how dinged up the machine is currently at the moment, Robert Williams. So, well, sometimes it is cosmetic, isn't it? I mean, the cars can be... I've seen cars before with missing rear wings and front wings and stuff like that. It's still just as quick on the track. But anyway, talking about Lee, it looks like she's got the job done again. So these two doing a switcheroo once again.
Well, Leah Anderson through on Manager Graph into 9th place. And Anderson beginning to fight back and further behind Manager Graph, who's Paolo Tempera, who we've not really spoken too much about this evening, has quietly made his way through up into 11th position.
John's in.
Yeah, John Hudson in. So he's the first of the leaders to come in for a mandatory stop. How does this one go? Well, I can say that Mike Bousson has posted a new fast lap of the race, and Mike Bousson's pace this evening is quite spellbinding, to say the least, and quite surprising to my eyes. But it shows that this circuit is perhaps for him, unlike for some. Although John Hudson is in the box now, so that hands the lead over to Jorge Gonzaga. James Berry is now going for the lead on track, but the more they fight, the more it's handing it over to John Hudson to take back the net race lead when he gets through on them when they come in for their stops.
I want to see if these two can control this race at the moment, because they are teammates. Insert E-Racing team name here. You can see on the liveries. That's Jose, of course, with the more of the red and yellow livery, and the purple and yellow livery is James Barry, who, I don't know if this team's order at play. No team papaya orders between these two, unless it is just switcheroo. No, Barry put his nose up there to remind, he actually got the job done, my apologies there, on Jose. So there is Barry up in the lead there. I think they're going to be more concerned about the team Radline there of Mike Bousson here. So if they are fighting together, it's not helping, because it's allowing Bousson to get a boost down the main straight.
Well, he's not hanging around, is he? It's Mike Bousson on the inside in turn number 1. Gonzaga just about sees him, and Mike Bousson goes through the S's. He should have the high ground here. There's Mike Bousson. I'll be surprised if Gonzaga is able to hold on here. Very nearly contact made between the pair, but it looks like Bousson has got the job done at last, and that is him through into 2nd place on track. But all that battling
Guess who's coming?
may have helped.
Yes.
Yeah, Paul Crabb, the Irishman, has closed in on these two. I wasn't going to mention Paul Crabb. I was thinking more of John Hudson. But now that you've mentioned him, and rightly so, he could well be in on the act here and going for 2 wins out of 2 tonight.
Yeah, yep, exactly. He's caught them really quickly because of their battling, so slowing them down, actually. If anything, it's helping James Barry up the road there, too. James Barry's only got a 1-point-something second gap over that. So all that, whatever's happening in the insert name E-Racing team, they're squabblings. It's helped one driver, but it's punishing another, because, Jose at the moment is struggling here. He's trying to battle it out with Mike, and he has to look in his mirrors there for a very fast Irishman coming thick and fast.
Well, Mike Bousson's had a very poor exit coming out of turn 10B, and that's almost got Jorge Gonzaga through into 2nd position. All of this is playing into the hands of James Berry. You can see that Bousson and Gonzaga have had poor laps, but that's because they've been fighting amongst each other. And you can see Gonzaga going for it again, trying to do what Mike Bousson did to him on the previous lap. Gonzaga on the curve there through the S's, and look at Paul Crabb finding not quite the open door he would have been after. Had he gone for it there, he probably would have gone round, but that just tells you that he's just waiting. It's like a shark just waiting to make his move.
Dun, 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 dun. Exactly, it's like the Jaws theme or something coming up at the moment. These drivers know it, but it's fantastic. The feeling, the sensation inside that car at these speeds, at this close level, is just thrilling. This is why people love it. And that's a slight little mistake there from Mike. And that's going to allow Paul just to slide on by. I'm not sure if there was any contact on that one, but we'll see if we can actually have a little bit of a replay of that one. But did you see anything?
I don't think there was. I think he did exactly what Ivan Bremer did a few laps ago and just got a little bit too close, locked the rears, and nearly went round there, did Mike Bousson. But at least he's only lost 1 position, unlike Bremer, who lost a load. We're looking at John Hudson, who's stopped behind traffic now. He's got Stephen Millis, who he's been fighting with. He's got through on him at last, and now he needs to dispose of Gareth Matthews sooner rather than later and make his way through and get up to the back of the likes of James Barry and Jorge Gonzaga. Now, the top 4 still remain out there. I'm quite surprised, actually, that John Hudson had pitted in as early as he did. because he's on a heavier fuel load now, unlike these who are running their fuel tanks to the brim. And how much time is Matt Hutchinson going to be losing? Well, I'm looking at his lap times on the last lap for John Matt Hutchinson. He did, what did he do on the previous lap? He did it 1:15.5, and the leaders are doing 1:15.4s, 1:16s. So in actual fact, John Matt Hutchinson's not losing too much time. But when he's stuck behind traffic, as he is doing there, as he gets by Gareth Matthews into turn number 1, he's not actually losing much time, is he? Is John?
No, well, that's the key, isn't it? If he's happy with that, if that strategy to pay off. We got our little pit out position graphic, and thanks to James showing me this, I didn't even know we had this actually in the software, but we do. So if we look at James Barry, have a look at the little P on the map. That's going to show him approximately where it predicts that he's going to come out. So hopefully for him, that if that comes out there, he'll be clear of a couple of cars and he'll have clear air. That's what you're also going to be thinking about as well, to your team, your spotter, or whatever, or your technical chief engineer or whatever will tell you exactly where you're going to be coming out. Look at these two as well. So that's something they're going to be planning on if you're going to come in for a pit stop early. These three squabbling out too for now. This is going to be very, very interesting. Paul Crabb, George Kazana, and Mike Booson.
Yeah, Paul Crabb getting almost out of shape on the exit of the last turn. That was almost contact made the way he cut across on Jorge Gonzaga. That could have been the three of them off, but luckily they're able to keep the cars pointing the right way. And Bousson and Bremer, who's back in the action now after that earlier off, is fancying his chances as we speak. But James Barry, nearly 5 seconds clear of this lot. And all that battling going on between Crabb, Gonzaga and Bousson has just allowed Barry to shoot off further into the distance.
Yeah, Barry's up to here he is currently at the moment. And on top of it too, Barry should be able to clear the 78 machine when it comes out of pit road as well too. You can see on that pit map. So that'll be where David is. So he should come back out P8 at the moment if he does go in the pit stop. What will he clear? John. That's going to be the key. There's John. So he will currently at the moment. There's, you can see the 69 on the track map. And then if we go back to James Barry, there, that's where he'll pit out. So he'll pit out at least a good couple hundred meters down the road, isn't it? Well, that's predicted pit stops. So, yeah, as Paul Crabb goes in. So Paul Crabb, have a look at that prediction. So he should come out in clean air. Should just be around P9. Around P9, I'd say. So we'll see if that pans out for him. If we get pit stop right there, Paul. You know, that's one of the crucial things that you need to do, my friend. Make sure you stop it in the right box as well, too. So you don't have to reverse up. You can even get disqualified if you do that. But no, it looks good to him. So we'll see if that comes out. Well, if that pans out now, it should be coming out now, right? Look at that P. And no, he won't actually. That's it. So this is not 100% accurate. No, he's taking on more fuel. He's actually going to come out probably just ahead. Well, way back actually. So John's already scooted on by. There's John, who we know he's already taken his pit stop. And in fact, and there's Paul Crabb. So he's second, but he's come out in traffic, and that's going to hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, so he's out in 12th place and stuck in traffic. That's not ideal for Paul Crabb's race. James Barry, who's now 6 seconds clear of the battle between Gonzaga and Bousson, who refuse to leave each other alone. They need to stop fighting, otherwise they can just continue to fall further back behind James Barry and John Matt Hutchinson when he comes around. Because I bet John Matt Hutchinson, at this rate, is going to move into second place.
We'll see, we'll see. I think you might be right in that one. This is going to be crucial. James Barry's still staying at there 7 seconds now, as you'd mentioned. So it's going to be crucial if James can clear Johnson P9. That's going to be his target to try to beat. He knows he's already cleared Paul Crabb. He's down to P12. He's got a bit of cars because Paul Crabb just got past Graham Matthews. So Paul Crabb's got that traffic to navigate. That John had to navigate earlier, remember. Unless those drivers elect to go to pit road, that will allow clear the space up, which maybe these drivers are hoping for as well too when they come out in clear air, because the other drivers have boxed. We'll see. But for now, they're in a boxing ring themselves, aren't they? Boxing each other on a track.
Well, they are still fighting Gonzaga, Bousson and Bremer, and it won't be too long before we see these three in the pit. I would say they're going to be coming in either in the next 2 or 3 laps. And what about James Barry? Because it looks like, given the pace we are seeing from him, it looks like he's run his fuel tank down to the brim, and he's carrying on for another lap, is James Barry. I was quite surprised. I still stand by this point. I'm surprised that John Matt Hutchinson decided to pit in as early as he did. But we've now got even Bremer coming into the pits for his mandatory stop now. I just hope he managed to slow down to the pit lane speed limit. Where does he filter back out in comparison to Matt Hodgson and Crab? Well, we've got Leah Anderson also in the pits as well. We're looking at where are Matt Hodgson and Crab on the map. I think they're coming round actually.
So
Hodgson
there's
going
John.
through turn 11.
And there's Crab.
Yeah, he's going to... Yeah, Matt Hodgson will go through, no doubt.
Yep.
It's just a matter of whether Paul Crab will get through as well. I think Paul Crab will go through on even Bremer, although Bremer's out of the pits already, so Bremer should keep hold of his place there ahead of Crab, but Crab's going to be the one up to speed, and it's going to take a few corners or so for
Bremer
to get up to speed. There he is. You can see him in the background there, so Crab is not too far behind. Now it's down to the fact where Gonzaga and Buson are going to return. You can just see they're still continuing to battle. They're still refusing to stop fighting because they're now just handing it over to James Barry. No, undoubtedly, and you can just see James Barry with a new fast up of the race, and it's no surprise to see James Barry doing that because he's on a lighter fuel load compared to earlier. But that tells you everything you need to know. And further back, he's in the pits. Got in too quickly there, has Meno de Graaf. He was able to continue, but he's lost time. And how has he managed to do that? Well, he must have gone into the pits. I don't know if he's practiced his pit entries prior to the race there. Yeah, he just dropped it. Yeah, it was only a little nudge. So he was able to reverse round and just get into the pits, but he's lost around about 3 or 4 seconds thanks to that. So that's left him with more work to do.
Lewis Hamilton.
Well, almost Lewis Hamilton a little bit. That was, the one with Lewis Hamilton was more disastrous for more reasons than one. Yeah, I think we can move away from that and just concentrate on the action that we got in front. Yeah. We can go back to the battle for what is second place on the track here. We'll go back to live pictures. That would be great. Here is Buson and Gonzaga through
Barry
turns.
Goes in yet.
And
no.
Barry does not go in. He carries on as he is doing. Gonzaga and Buson, do either of them come in? I don't think they do. They're running their fuel tanks to the brim. Now, given that they were not leading earlier, they'll have been able to save fuel behind and stay in the slipstream. So you can tell that they're going to try for one more lap or two. So that gives them a better chance of perhaps closing on Matt Hodgson. I wonder what Matt Hodgson will be thinking right now. He's probably thinking, well, I've pretty much got the race win or a second place in my pocket. But he's got to hope he's not under-fueled, because it was very early he came in, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, you can see there currently at the moment on the telemetry information there, what laps they came in currently at the moment. John came in with the earliest, remember, lap 14. And Bremer came in lap 21, Crab came in lap 19. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that little telemetry information that Paul Crab's about 2 seconds of change away from Bremer. So, well, not quite making big differences and gains with that at the moment. It is down about 1.8. Of course, it depends on the corners. But these two still battling it out, as you'd mentioned. Now, I'm curious to see whether or not yet James Barry will elect to go in. It's already missed the pit lane entrance. These two, no. I think either happy with the speed that they're doing, and I'm going to show you, they pass the pit lane entrance right now. If they are happy with the pace that they're doing is the key, because their engineers are going to be sitting there crunching some numbers at the moment. If you are lucky to have a spotter engineer, I'll sit there and go, well, I'm crunching numbers at the moment. If you guys may very well be giving up this position to Mr. John, perhaps even to Bremer, and perhaps even Mr. Paul Crab as well too. So we'll have a look at these last laps that they're doing at the moment too on the telemetry and give us a bit of an indication of what's going to happen.
Well, they're setting 1 minute 15s and 1 minute 16s at the moment. And you could say that James Barry is doing low 1 minute 15s, whereas Gonzaga and Buson are doing high 1 minute 15s. John Hutchison, who's running in 6th position, has posted his personal best lap of the race, a 1 minute 15.2. So it's no question that Hutchison is closing on these guys, even though he had been in the pits earlier. But he's got all the clear track he needs to just close down on these guys and potentially complete an undercut. Now, is he doing enough to get through on James Barry? My interpretation is that he's not. But we'll wait and see. And Gonzaga and Buson still going at it. We've just seen a lock-up further in front there. I don't think it's from James Barry. It's certainly not from James Barry. It's probably from one of those that's a lap down. But Barry is very content at the moment, but we're looking at the battle for 10th place on track between Gareth Matthews, or Graham Matthews, I should say, and Stefan Mellis, the man from Belgium, as they go towards the back straight. There's a couple of kinks before the chicane that is coming up, but we're not too far away from seeing the top three come into the pits. Tempora has yet to come in, as does Rolliston. Jumper Hudson is the highest of all those who has pitted. But now we are just heading towards the closing stages of the race. We've got less than 13 minutes to go. We're probably looking at around about a 36 lap race at most. We'll wait and see, but we've got drivers who are still yet to pit anyway, including James Barry. We've got Stefan Mellis coming in. He was running in 11th position behind Graham Matthews before entering pit road. And there is your racer, the James Barry, determined to pick up a win here. And you can just see all the smoke billowing out from the back. Is that the car on fire? He's on fire, it's James Barry.
Yes. Has he cooked his engine?
We'll wait and see, but I don't know whether he's run the fuel to the brim or whether that's a terminal problem for James Barry.
I mean, you can blow him up, of course, if you over-rev it to pieces. I mean, it can't be a fuel. I doubt it'd be a fuel.
Well,
you don't puff out fuel like, you don't puff out smoke like that if you're out of gas. You just literally just start slowing down and stall.
Well, it's certainly not an overfill, we can say that, but he can use this stop as a fast repair, but this is going to cost James Barry time, no doubt.
Oh, it is a quick stop. So Mike Booson now will essentially take the lead. He has to take his pit stops, of course. And that little battle that's occurring has now given him a little bit of a spread field. Yeah, where's
James Barry? Because he's in front of John Hutchison.
Yes.
There he is. Very, very lucky. He got out in front of him. We fear, and that gap he made up there paid dividends. But I just wonder whether that's hurt the engine or whether he's just used the fast repair to get that sorted out. But either way, he's very lucky to rejoin ahead of Matt Hutchison, and the battle for the win is very much alive. What about Buson and Gonzaga then? Because surely they are running their fuel tanks to the brim. Hopefully they're not over-revving like what James Barry may have been doing earlier.
They're
in now.
Yep. They're going to follow each other in too.
Yeah, we'll see how these stops go. And I don't think they're going to get out in front of either Barry or Matt Hutchison. So third place is on the cards for either of these two as they look to stop in the box.
So there's Barry and there's John. You can see on the track map. So these two, they're going to be scooting down the main stretch right now. That will be, of course, James Barry will be retaking the lead of this race because it looks like Paulo and David also boxed. So the last of everybody to get into pit road right now are in pit road. James taking the lead.
Look over.
What about Ivan? Ivan's going to come around now as well too. Bremer. And Mike's going to come out around this mix as well too. And Paul Crabb's around this mix. So this is interesting. Paul Crabb split them up. So here we go.
And Crabb finding a way through on Mike Buson almost. But he's gone through on Gonzaga into fifth place as the Irishman Paul Crabb. But the biggest news is that James Barry, despite the blow up there on his way in, is still in the lead, albeit by 1 second over John Hutchison. And we've now got a battle for what could be for the final podium position. Even Bremer, even with that off he had at the corner which they've just gone through now, is into the final podium position. And that's some recovery there from the Dutchman.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's good racing, good strategy and stuff like that. James Barry, perfect, even with whatever happened with that, he's got a comfortable lead now. Comfortable by, well, not really comfortable. Here we go. An overtaking opportunity potentially coming up at the moment there. Paul Crabb fighting it out with Booson. He's got the crowd boost out there from Milo Game Up, saying the super, of course. So.
I'm sure they're referring to even Bremer. Yeah, they will be referring to Bremer.
Yeah, Max was the super Max, the super Bremer.
Yeah, we'll see how this battle plays out then, because we've got a battle for fifth place between Buson and Gonzaga. Paul Crabb doing a fine job to get up into fourth place, doing the best he can. We've got a battle, though, further back between Miller de Graaf and Leah Anderson. This is for ninth position.
Okay.
These two have been at it for a lot of it. Yeah, so Miller de Graaf, after that spin at pit entry, has somehow managed to find his way through into ninth spot. David Rolston has only been in, Paolo Tempera has been in as well. So it looks virtually set in stone now. Oh, and De Graaf has gone off. De Graaf has gone wide, and that's handed the position over to Anderson.
Yep, just snatch that one up any day of the week and say thank you very much for that mistake. But I wouldn't be surprised if those two aren't back at it fighting again closer in the closing stages, dying stages of this race. So good to see them. They're in our solo fight back there, as you mentioned. They're in for the 9th and 10th places. So Mike and Jose are going for it tooth and nail here as well too, with Paul Crabb just further up the road here. Now, the battle for the lead is still on, remember, because this top two have an 8-second gap down the road to Bremer. So Bremer's got a lot of work to do to catch up to these two. I think it's going to come down to Barry and John Leserman, but take each other out and then allow something else to happen, but we'll see.
Well, these two have been at it now. Well, they're about to go into battle for the first time, I think, tonight. Barry in the lead and Matt Hudson in second. I think that's almost like a script that had already been written before the night had begun, because we know what these two can do, and they're about to do battle once again on the track here at Road Atlanta. Matt Hudson into the slipstream, but does he decide to go for it, and how much does James Berry fight it? Well, we're about to find out here as they come towards turn 10A. I don't know why it's called that, but it is classed as turn 10A, and Matt Hudson decides to hold back for now.
That's because the Americans, mate, A and B, they got a lot of those corner names. Oh, that's going to be a late setup. You've got to do it from there, my friend. No, he's just throwing a dummy at the moment. Just try to put some mirror pressure on James Barry, who can handle this, so we'll see how they go.
Well, Matt Hudson was almost side by side with him going into turn number 1, but we've got the S's coming up as they go through it now, and Matt Hudson will be determined to get onto the rear of James Berry, but he seems content to just hold back for the time being. I'm also conscious to know how much fuel John Hudson put in, because he came in that early, and whether he put the right amount of fuel in. I'd like to think he has done, but I'm just thinking, because he's sitting behind James Berry and into the slipstream, is he going to a little bit of fuel saving?
Well, his pit stop was, according to the telemetry, John's was overall stationary 15 seconds. So these other drivers, James Barry and Bremer, that are behind him and in front, they stopped for 13 seconds. Of course, they had less because they've got less fuel to run to the end, and they stopped later. So it was only 2 seconds more in the pit stop that John had done. So you might be right. Like, did he get enough gas in it? I mean, he doesn't want to end up in a situation like what happened with Luke Maxwell last week, isn't it? And Luke Maxwell, that obviously is very upset with that machine and whatever, just completely retired from this race. I still would have thought you should have kept in it, because, you know, you never know. He could have made his way back up to P10 or something like that, P9. Crucial points. And you don't want to get in that situation like Lewis Hamilton, right? Max Verstappen, right? Where you're fighting it out the last lap of a race, down to 1 point separating them. And we know Lewis Hamilton's been in those situations before as well.
We've got a couple of drivers in the pits at the moment, albeit not scheduled. It looks like Graham Matthews has been in the wall somewhere. Rob Williams has hit trouble. You can just see there. And yeah, I think that is a written off machine of Graham Matthews. We'll want to get a replay to what happened involving him. Oh, he caught the grass. I think he did exactly the same thing as what Luke Maxwell did earlier in the race, and just dropped it on the bump. It's exactly the same corner. It's the same corner as where Luke Maxwell caught the bump and threw the car into the wall. Rides over the curb. Yeah, he caught the bump there on the grass. You don't want to hit that, and it just threw the car off horribly. Wanted to find out what happened to Rob Williams, because I think that was his second pit stop he came in for, or whether he's just had enough for this evening. But the battle for third place is raging on now, with 4 minutes still to go. Paul Crowe round the outside of Even Bremer into the chicane. He's running too deep, and that's going to allow Mike Busson to get alongside as they head towards the last couple of corners of this course. And it looks like Mike Busson is not quite close enough, and Jorge Gonzaga fancies a go at it as well. Pulls out alongside, nearly dropping it as he pulled out of the slipstream and going through turn 1, and Gonzaga has to slot back in again.
Oh, just like that, isn't it? We mentioned if you make a little bit of a mistake, you're pounced on, and that's exactly what Paul did. But luckily, he is able to kind of bounce back on that one, as these two are going to go through it again and again, aren't they? These two just, they're like Siamese twins, aren't they? You can't separate them. Battling it out during this race, and they're only getting down to the dying stages now. Only a few minutes and change left. And this is for the crucial P4 position, if you say Paul's in this picture.
Yeah, it looks like Paul has got a good gap between these two. Ivan Bremer has got one hand on that podium finish. They so richly deserves, it has to be said, but now we've got a battle for the win here as we watch James Berry and John Hudson go toe to toe over the line. They come round. I think they will probably have 3 more laps. So when they go over the line, it is now, I think it was like 42.18, so that's like 2 minutes 42. I think we've got 3 more laps to go here, Dean, as we watch John Hudson go to the outside once more on James Berry, looking to find a gap there. Does he go for it? Side by side into the Essex. It'll be very brave for John to do it there, but James Berry had to outbrake him to make sure there was no room for him to get past. And for the first time in this race, James Berry had to get his elbows out.
He has to, and his psychological games right now, because he knows that John means business. He's Scottish. He's British, you know. James Barry's British and John's Scottish, and the Scots, and he gets the Scots fired up. He's smelling blood in the water in the victory in the racetrack at the moment, and he knows, and James Barry's got it. He wants to put that fear into James Berry and say, I'm coming for you, mate. I want this one. James Barry's got to do some fantastic Oscar defending at the moment if he wants to take this race win. These two, of course, top of the timesheets in the championship too, so this is crucial for more and more points to click up in their tally.
Yeah, every point matters, although there are 2 drop scores as we see. But Hudson, think about it, into the chicane there. James Berry not deterred by that. He saw that coming, but he knows his way around this course anyway. And he was always going to remain in front on that occasion. But you can just see Matt Hudson taking different lines to put James Berry under pressure and just remain in the slipstream. He's sort of read into where James Berry's going to place the car next time around. Penultimate lap then. These two, nose to tail, hammer and tongue. We don't know who's going to win between these two, and it's going to go right all the way to the end of this race here.
What a different racing line that they're taking too. The John was. I'm going to call him Clutch the Hutch, the Clutch. That's what John Mick Hutch has to be Clutch at this point. But he gave him a nice little nickname, isn't it? And John tried to do it, and Barry, of course, if you've watched the introductions of JPB's broadcaster network, you're going to have James going crazy for Mick Barry. James Barry. That's not Mick Barry, that's a different Barry, isn't it? James Barry.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, we've got a battle for the win again because, we've got Barry and Matt Hudson going at it. How does James Barry place the car as he heads towards the chicane? Does he go defensive here? Well, he doesn't defend the inside. He allows Matt Hudson to pull alongside, but Matt Hudson is through on the inside here. Does James Berry hold it out? He can't, and Matt Hudson is through into the lead. Sensational overtake from John Matt Hudson. He bided his time, and he is through at last with just 1 lap to go. Has James Berry got anything left, any ideas left to respond to that?
He's got to come around and do the same thing back. It's just a huge squabble there. Paul Krabs had to lift off big time and allow them through. So Mike Bousson and Jose, they also go for it 2 for 9. We're going to keep an eye on the lead, of course, for these two. James Berry has limited time right now. This is a penultimate lap, is it? If we're not on the final lap to try to mount a charge back, and where can he get it done?
Well, it's the last lap. And you can see Matt Hudson. I wonder if he had a slowdown or he caught the curve too much, and that's allowed James Berry to go back through again. And the lead has changed twice in a space of under a lap. And James Berry is back into the lead. On course to take victory. As Matt Hudson too desperate to get on the gas there to try and respond. I think that's that battle over now between, at this moment, the checkered flag. But what a job James Berry has done to keep his nose in there and stay in the fight and push John. So, as he comes through the chicane for the last time, James Berry has driven a brilliant race all the way to the end. He had to fight it with John Hudson. James Berry wins the feature race in the SR8 Championship of Radical at Road Atlanta. A sensational performance by the Brit. He leads home John Hudson by 1.3 seconds. Ivan Bremer, 3rd position, and a richly well-deserved podium. Mike Bousson holding off Jorge Gonzaga to the end, with Eric Harmon in 6th place, with Jamie Bird, Paul Crabb, who's dropped back. I wonder if Paul Crabb had underfield and he had to lift off in the closing laps. He's not even gone over the line yet as Paul Crabb, but he has now. 8th place for him, with Miller de Graaf and Leah Anderson running out the top 10. We're going to have a look to see what happens to
He's
Paul
lifted.
Crabb. He's lifted. I think he's underfield as Paul Crabb. Hence why he lost those positions in the closing stages, because he was in 4th place earlier with a couple of laps to go, and then realised I think he underfueled by a lap, because I think he miscalculated when the checker flag was going to come out. So that has cost him 4 places as a consequence of it.
Yeah, once again, we're seeing little errors in the gasoline territory, isn't it? And it making mistakes, which is crucially. Luke Maxwell has to worry about that this time around, of course, because he smashed his car up pretty early and elected not to fix it and come back and do anything here at Road Atlanta for the Michelin Raceway. We'll get those results coming up practically right now.
Here is your race result of the feature race here of Road Atlanta in the Radical SR8 Championship. James Berry, the winner, ahead of John Mahotson after a brilliant duel between the pair, a well-respected duel of that. Ivan Bremer in 3rd place ahead of Mike Buson and Jorge Gonzaga. Eric Hartman in 6th place and Jamie Bird in 7th ahead of Paul Crabb, who underfueled and had to settle for 8th place ahead of Mena de Graaf and Leah Anderson in the top 10. Dave Rolliston was 11th, followed by Wayne Palmer. Then it's Stefan Mellis in 13th position with Peloton Pera and Carl Jacquelet with the rest of those. To take the checker flag, Rob Williams, Gray Matthews, Josh Reed, and Luke Maxwell, who were lost in the early stages. He was leading, and whether he had been in the fight with James Barry and John Hutchinson for the win, we will never, ever know. What a race that was, Dean. I don't know if you've commentated on the Radical SR8 Championship before, but going into tonight, you were a little bit uncertain as to what the racing was going to produce. And I don't think after all that, I don't think the racing is something you can complain about.
No, I think I forgot, actually. I have commentated and broadcast this fantastic racing Radical League before, and I forgot actually, because it's been a little while, how much fun it is, and how much wheel to wheel, elbow to elbow action these drivers have. And the good thing about it is that it's 99.9% of it's clean. In fact, I think all of our wheel to wheel racing tonight was clean. We didn't have anybody taking really anybody else out, did we? At all. I think all the errors that we did see were just solo driver errors.
Yeah, I think in the first race, I think with the start line crash, I think that was a little bit unexpected, but they managed to rectify that in the second race, and we had a very rather clean one throughout. Shall we speak to a few drivers? We'll start off with Carl Jacquelet, actually, who managed to bring his car home in 15th position. If we can bring him in, please, Dean, if we can. Yeah.
We have Carl in here.
So let's... Yes, absolutely. Carl Jacquelet, who finished 15th in that feature race. Just sum that race up, or perhaps the even up from your perspective.
Hot. I am melting here. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, even though I did spend half of that race letting people by. But yeah, it was still very enjoyable. Had a great battle for the first, what was it, 11 laps. It was really good. There was some good side-by-side stuff. People finding out that I do have a reputation for being really difficult to pass. It was good fun.
Yeah, it looks quite a lonely race for you. I think you'd been involved in an incident which put you further back than desired. Could you maybe explain what had been going on with that?
On that incident, well, we were going into the chicane at the end of the lap. We were just about 3 wide, and I probably didn't give them enough room on the right-hand side, so I'll put my hand up, and that was my fault.
Yeah. Well, it did result in 2 other drivers. I think another one had to go into the pits as a consequence of that, but I suppose, these things happen from time to time, but you did bring the car home and got some useful points, which could come crucial at the end of the season. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to shout out or say anything to anyone after your performance this evening?
Just you 2 good fellows for putting this all together. Yeah, we wouldn't be racing if it wasn't for you lot, so thank you.
No problem. Well, thank you very much, Cole, for taking the time to speak to us, and we wish you better luck next time out at Road America next week.
Yeah, we can hope.
Thank you very much,
Always
Cole.
optimistic.
Excellent.
Have a good week.
You too. So we want to bring in the race winner, James Berry, after a very nervy ending to the race as well. if you can bring James in, Dean, and then we can have a chat with him to discuss about your performance. James Barry, good sir, how has tonight been for you? Because it was quite a tricky first race in that sort of sprint, but in the feature race, it very much played further and further into your hands when you saw the likes of Gonzaga and Buson in their own battle. But more importantly, towards the end with that battle with John Hodgson, my goodness me, that was nail-biting stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, really tense race, and really enjoyed the battle with John at the end. So earlier in the race, obviously John was leading, and there was George and Ivan Bramer, and I was just fuel saving. And then John decided to pit quite early, which in hindsight I'm not sure was a good idea, because then I swapped positions with George, which I have to thank him for. He let me go through so I could do my best pace. And then I guess I had a lighter fuel load than him. I don't know if he got stuck in traffic. So then I was able to do, I think, the fastest laps of the race at that point. That really helped. And then, I don't know if you know this, but did you see my engine blew up right before I came in the pits?
We did. We saw it go up there.
Exactly,
and we were conscious. Yeah, the engine did go up. What was that then? Was that just over revving the engine, given that the fuel tank was being burnt down to the brim?
I don't know, because I've barely driven this car before, so because the SR10 has downshift protection, but maybe in this car I was downshifting too aggressively, probably, because you can see that it happened when I was just downshifting into the final chicane. So it's probably just from the downshift, so that kind of lost me 3 or 4 seconds, I think, just coming into the pits, as you can see. So I would have been quite far in the lead, but ended up falling into John's clutches, and then, yeah, as I said, a really good battle at the end.
Excellent. And how do you compare this performance to Alton Park a week ago? Because I was with James when we were commentating on the races there. And would you say this performance was better than you had at Alton Park last week?
Similar. I mean, I had quite good pace here, maybe slightly better than Alton. But in both races, I mean, I was fighting at the front for the win in the sprint race, and then I did a great job in the feature race. So, yeah, I'd say this is probably a little bit better, I guess, yeah.
Excellent. Before you go, anyone to shout out for, or to sort of say anything to, perhaps any of the drivers after a very hard tussle throughout the action we had this evening?
Yeah, well, as I said, shout out George, shout out everyone in the league who turns up, and I felt sorry for Luke as well. He's just put a message in the chat saying that he's been having a difficult day, and maybe that was why he spun out, so I was sorry to see that happen to him. And yeah, thanks to you guys for the broadcast.
Excellent. Well, it's enormous respect from you to Luke Maxwell, who drove a good race. He was quick in qualifying, and he put in some good pace in the races up until he crashed out in the other stages. So it's a huge shame, because we would have loved to have seen him in the battle with you and John, and we will never ever know what happened this time around. But hopefully we'll see a more fierce battle between you, John, and Co at Road America next week.
Yeah, sure. Hopefully so. See you then.
Yeah, thank you very much, James, and best of luck to next week.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Well then, Dean, after 2 races of action, James Barry the race winner by over a second on John Hutchison. And yeah, how can you sum that up for tonight there at Road Atlanta, and what can we expect at Road America next week, and track that both of us know well?
Oh, well, thrilling, absolutely thrilling. There was really never a dull moment in this race. I mean, it was always battling across the old 19 drivers, 19 gladiators that went into their fantastic arena at Road Atlanta. And I expect more to come next week as well, as you mentioned. Yeah. So this is only round 2. Round 3, it's just starting to heat up, my friend. The heat is on, and it's on the track.
Yeah. Well, just a rundown on the calendar for the season. We've been to Alton Park and Road Atlanta. Next week, we go to Road America. We've got Monza to round off the month as well, followed by Spa and Bathurst in Australia on the 14th of October. Brands Hatch and Imola round off October. And we've got 2 more rounds at Knockhill in Scotland on November the 4th. And the season finale at Nordschleife, which will be a combined 60-minute race instead of the sprint and feature format, of which we have for all the other rounds. If you have enjoyed the races, do make sure you like and subscribe to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel. If you haven't already done so, then please do that, as we aim to increase the number of subscribers for this beloved channel that's been put together by James Parfitt for the last couple of years. And what a job he has done, and a shout out to him for the job that he has done in getting all the races set up and the streams put together for us to commentate on. Thank you very much, Dean, for being with me in the commentary position again tonight. and we'll do it all over again next week at Road America. Will we see more dual battle between James Berry, John Hutchinson, and maybe Luke Maxwell, or the likes of Jorge Gonzaga and Mike Buson? Well, you know where to tune in to find out. It's time to end it there. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll do it all over again next week. I'm Tom Cairns, he's Dean Biggles, and we'll speak to you again soon when the Radical SR8 Championship returns.